Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. WandaVision is a spiral of mysteries where every episode just brings up more questions. How is Vision alive? Why is this a sitcom? Who's the B guy? And are Wanda's new kids even real?
What the hell is going on here?
Well, I've got a couple theories on what we're seeing here that I've split into 2 videos. The next video is going to be out in a couple days, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. First, let's go over everything that we actually know. Vision has seemingly been resurrected. He and Wanda are living inside a sitcom that is being monitored by an outside force, that is probably the government agency S.W.O.R.D. In the comics, S.W.O.R.D monitors extraterrestrial threats, kind of like the Men in Black.
Know what the difference is between you and me? I make this look good.
But in the MCU, this agency's acronym has changed to Sentient Weapon Observation instead of Sentient World Observation. This implies that S.W.O.R.D is keeping an eye on superpowered beings who might be a threat, like Wanda. As we saw in Civil War, she's already regarded as a threat.
What legal authority does an enhanced individual like Wanda Maximoff have to operate in Nigeria?
Each episode is interrupted with a commercial that seems to be selling Wanda a part of her past. The Stark toaster symbolizes the Stark shell that killed her family.
Our parents go in, the whole building starts coming apart. And on the side of the shell is painted one word: Stark.
The toaster even makes the same sound as the shell that we hear in Iron Man. There's even a theory that I love that the man and woman in these spots are Wanda's parents. After all, their image is burned into her brain.
I have a little picture. I take it out and look at it every day.
You lost your parents in the bombings. I've seen the records.
The records are not the picture.
Then there's the ads for Hydra soap and the Strucker watch. Baron von Strucker was the Hydra leader who gave Wanda her powers with the Mind Stone. Now, we did a video about how the Vision probably came back, where I explained that Wanda actually has the powers of every Infinity Stone. And like I said, Wanda has the power of the Time Stone inside of her. She also has the abilities of the Reality Stone, meaning she can remake reality to reform Vision's body from nothing. Or she could even use the Space Stone to pull his atoms toward this central point. Therefore, Wanda does have the power to create a sitcom-type pocket reality. And, as we saw at the end of Episode 3, that's exactly what's happened. S.W.O.R.D agents are outside of a real town, meaning that Wanda has taken over the actual town of Westview to create a skewed sitcom life. Now, we also know that Vision is suspicious of this reality, and that Wanda can remake this world and make him forget his suspicions, as we saw in Episode 2.
I think something's wrong here, Wanda. Yes, I know what you mean.
But also, the people in this town, especially Agnes, are manipulating Wanda. In Episode 1, she wants Wanda to shag the Vision.
What about seduction techniques?
Which works. In Episode 2, she says,
"School admissions."
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But notice, she looks at Wanda's belly, heavily implying that she should have kids. And of course, everything in this episode is for the children.
It's for the children.
For the children. For the children.
For the children.
For the children.
For the children.
For the children.
And they keep saying this until Wanda is actually pregnant. Heck, even this newspaper headline is about a twin fire hydrant being installed in town. Everything is giving Wanda subliminal messages to have kids. So it seems like there is some force that wants Wanda to become pregnant and give birth, meaning that some entity wants to use her children. And this entity, whatever it is using the townspeople to get their message across. Now, it is possible that these people actually represent parts of Wanda's subconscious, but I don't think so. The radio in Episode 2 asks,
Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
implying that she is being manipulated. Now, a lot of you fine people have added me on Twitter to suggest that the people of Westview, the sitcom, are actual residents of the real Westview that we saw at the end of Episode 3. I think this is 100% correct. They act like puppets, playing out a sitcom role in front of Wanda, but they're actually aware of their old lives. We see indications of this in every episode. In Episode 1, it's Mrs. Hart. When you watch this scene, imagine this is a real wife watching her husband choke and she isn't able to help him.
Stop it. Stop.
And the scene ends when Wanda breaks character and orders the Vision to use his powers.
Vision, help him.
Now notice, every other time they use their abilities, it's done with old-fashioned practical techniques like wire work. But this time, it's actual visual effects, implying that this is the real Vision using his real powers. In episode 2, Dottie hears the same message on the radio and breaks from this reality.
Who are you?
Now notice when she cuts her hand, it's only the second time we've actually seen color, red. This is because she's a real person who has briefly come back to the real world. And in episode 3, Agnes and Herb are worried about Geraldine.
No family, no husband, no home.
In other words, Geraldine is not from the real town of Westview like everyone else. She doesn't live here because she's a S.W.O.R.D agent sent to spy on Wanda, as hinted at here.
She came here because we're all...
Stop it! So what was Herb going to say? Maybe he was going to say trapped. See, Agnes and Herb seem to know what's really going on here, and they're afraid. They're afraid that Geraldine, as an outsider, is going to stir Wanda out of her fantasy, which does happen, briefly.
He was killed by Ultron, wasn't he?
What did you say?
Now, look, this could be for several reasons. One, the Descartes theory. Herb and Agnes know they're figments of Wanda's imagination, and if Wanda comes to, they will cease to exist. So they're protecting their own existence. Or, possibility number 2, they're real people who are terrified of what Wanda will do when she realizes that all of this is a fantasy. This calls to mind the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life, when a house full of adults are terrified of an omniscient brat who can erase them from existence. Or, possibility 3, and this is the one I think is most likely, some outside force is controlling Wanda and forcing the townspeople to guide her into creating kids. This is the Truman Show theory. That movie is about a man who's been surrounded by actors for his entire life.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
Who you talking to?
Now, all through the show, Agnes and Herb lead Vision and Wanda around. When Vision acts too much like an Avenger, Herb gives him big red gum, again, red being a key component of this illusion.
Hello, Westview! Good afternoon! It's so lovely to meet. I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
Afterward, Herb compliments his more acceptable, less suspicious behavior.
And to think you came here all hot and bothered about protocols and nonsense. We actually thought you were serious.
So perhaps the color red could be linked to the Red Skull, the former leader of Hydra. That's right, I think that this could actually be Hydra manipulating Wanda all along.
What?
Let me explain. See, Hydra gave Wanda and Pietro their powers, but we don't know why. In Age of Ultron, the Avengers are attacking Strucker's castle. His forces are overwhelmed, and yet, he doesn't want to use the twins.
Send out the twins. It's just on. It's what they signed up for. My men can hold them.
He even plans on surrendering, but still doesn't want to use them in the field.
I'm going to surrender. You delete everything.
Now this makes no sense. If you knew you were going to lose, wouldn't you throw everything you had at the good guys? Why keep Wanda on the bench? Well, Strucker might have given us a clue in the Winter Soldier post-credits scene.
Hydra. Shield. Two sides of a coin that's no longer currency.
So he's clearly not interested in the run-of-the-mill Hydra conquest of the world agenda. He has a bigger plan. One that he can enact later if he surrenders now. Now, obviously, Ultron killing him was not part of his plan.
Did a bank seat the crime scene, just for us.
But what if WandaVision's sitcom reality was actually part of Strucker's master plan? And this is why Hydra keeps popping up in the show's commercials. There's another Hydra hint here in this newspaper headline about twin fire hydrants being installed in town, just like Wanda is bringing twins into the town. But the way the newspaper is held, it emphasizes the Hydra part of the word. And if you watch Agents of S.W.O.R.D, I just got to offer this disclaimer. I love that show. It was great fun. But the final few seasons more or less confirmed that it does not take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now maybe it's set in a parallel timeline like the What If series. We know it's not in the MCU because we didn't see people disappear from Thanos' snap. So even though I know that S.W.O.R.D continued to fight Hydra in that show, I'm going to ignore it, just like Kevin Feige. But the biggest indication that Hydra is involved is the Beekeeper Man. Now, the capital I internet has been quick to point out that his jumpsuit looks like the agents of AIM from the comics. You remember AIM, they were founded by Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3.
Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM for short. Do you get it?
I see that because it's on your t-shirt.
Every episode of the show ends with Wanda and Vision framed inside of a hexagon, and episode 3 opens with hexagon split screens. This could be a hint that AIM is actually behind this. See, their logo is also hexagon shaped. Now, there's an easy connection to make here. In the comics, Strucker founded AIM as the science wing of Hydra. But remember, B-Guy is wearing a S.W.O.R.D jumpsuit. Wanda recognizes that he would disrupt her reality, so she rewinds time to get rid of him.
No.
The creepy editing is because of her reactions to this person, not necessarily because the person is malevolent. Now, what's more interesting to me is that the person enters town from the sewer, because as we see, a barrier has been erected above ground. And what's underground with this guy? Insects, or bees, flies, something. That's why he's wearing a beekeeper uniform to protect him from the insects.
No, not the bees! Not the bees!
And there's another potential clue. The hexagons in the show. The credits are framed with hexagons. The opening credits of episode 3 are hexagon-shaped. And what else is made up of hexagons? A hive. Hive is also the name of a Hydra villain from the comics who also appeared in Agents of S.W.O.R.D. In the comics, it's an amalgam of super parasites who all contain the programming of Hydra's ideals. He's able to mind control people with drones and reanimate the dead. So what if Hive is the real villain here? He's burrowed underground, mind controlling the townspeople and manipulating Wanda into creating these super powered twins. See, I think maybe Strucker never actually wanted to use Wanda in combat. What if he wanted to use her to create an army of superpowered beings, mind-controlled by Hive, each with the power of the Infinity Gauntlet? This would explain the commercials as well. Commercials are a form of brainwashing, compelling you to buy something you don't want or need.
Hydra Silk. Find the goddess within.
But these commercials are also selling Wanda on Hydra. More importantly, if her children are raised to watch these commercials, they will also be brainwashed by Hydra. Now, it is also possible that Hydra is controlling S.W.O.R.D like they controlled S.H.I.E.L.D. Then this perimeter would be to keep people from going in to help her. Now, I do have another completely different theory about this that I'll be posting a video on in the next day or so, so subscribe if you want to see that one. And I also want to hear your theories, so leave a comment or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.